Jay here, and today I'll be unboxing Combat Arena, Lair of the Beast, the newest in a line of Barnes & Noble exclusive board games released by Games Workshop. I'll look at the contents of the box, give you some ideas as to how to use the contents for Necromunda, and go over the rules for two of the box's miniatures, including the Iron Automata and the dreaded Ambull. This time on JD in the Sump Sea. Alright, thanks for joining me. So, today I'm going to be doing an unboxing. And this unboxing is the Combat Arena Lair of the Beast, Barnes & Noble exclusive. I was kind of worried I wasn't going to be able to get one of these. It's one of those boxes where they re-release old models that they've released, maybe years prior and then have gone out of production. And they come back and re-release those models again in a new form. In this case, in a new game. So this game was a Barnes & Noble exclusive, and I was at a Barnes & Noble this past weekend, and it was there. I was very surprised because I had thought that they were already sold out and that they weren't going to be back there. So anyway, very excited to get this. If we look at the front of the box, you see it says Barnes & Noble exclusive right there. And it's got a pretty cool picture. We got the Ambull, which is one of the big reasons I got this box. I want the Ambull to use in Necromunda. Plus there's some other cool things in here, some other neat models I think that can be used for Necromunda as well. This robot is very cool, and then you've got this little guy here. I think he'd be great for Necromunda, but we'll take a closer look. Let's turn around the box on the back, and on the back you've got a little bit more of what's in the box. You see there's this board and some tiles and cards and tokens. There's some miniatures here, and they show miniatures down here. They also have, the price here was only $35 US. It was very, very inexpensive. I was very happy with the price, especially because if you look at the contents, it says there are 13 miniatures in the box. Even though they only show like 4 here and 5 here, or a little bit more than 5. There's a couple of purple ones here, they're hard to see. But it says there's 13, so I'm actually kind of cool, intrigued to see what the other miniatures are. So, why don't we open the box and take a look. Get my trusty knife here. Cut these. There we go. Put that to the side. Let's flip it back around. We'll open it up. I'll just put the lid off to the side for now. And looks like this is the board. It's the first thing you see. Oh, and it comes with some other stuff in here as well. It looks like the tokens and the counters are inside here, along with the board. Looks like the board probably folds out. A little hard to tell without opening it. I'll put that to the side for now. This here is the rulebook. That's nice. It's a square rulebook, which is interesting. And you continue your adventures with Warhammer 40k if you want. Alright, let's move on. Looks like there's a base here, just a regular round base. You got your dice, just 6 D6s that are blue. Alright, here is the first sprue. Let's put this over here and take a closer look at the sprue. Looks like there's a Kroot down here. Wow, some other very interesting models. This one I think is that interesting Navigator model I'm really excited about. There's this guy who I think was a rogue trader. We'll be very excited to put him together and paint him. Let's put that over here. We've got this sprue next. This is, oh, this one looks like the robot, a man of iron. He's got this cool rotary cannon. This is also maybe that Eldar model, that Eldar sniper. That's super cool looking too. Alright, let's put that over here. Let's go with the next red one. So this is the next red sprue. This one looks like a space marine. He's not a Primaris marine. Okay, so he's just a regular space marine. Interesting. What's the date on there? 2017 it says right there. Okay. Let's take a look at the blue sprue next. The blue one, here's the Ambull. This is what I've been waiting for. I am so excited for this Ambull model. I've been wanting the Ambull for Necromunda for a very long time, since it first got released with Blackstone Fortress, and finally I've got it. So that'll definitely be a painting video about the Ambull, and hopefully I'll have it in some battle reports coming up as well. So the rules for this are on the Warhammer Community site. I'll put a link in the description below, and we'll look at that in just a minute. Alright, here are some more bases. This looks like just regular round bases for a lot of these miniatures. What else do we have in the box? Got some data cards. Oh, I see. Okay, so these are some cards. We got the Ambull and some other ones. And then there's a deck of cards here and a deck of cards here. Adrenaline Surge and Backup or Crippling Blow or Dirty Trick. Interesting. So these are... must be like some sort of action cards. And then what I appreciate too in this box is, if you can look in the bottom here, there actually is this molded plastic where you can keep all the components of the game, which I think is really fantastic, and I'm glad that they did this, because what they're telling you here is they're telling you that this is a boxed board game that you can bust out and play with just the contents of this as its own self-contained game. There's no reason to use these for anything other than this game. I think that's really cool that they do that. They didn't have to do that, but that's how they're marketing this, how they're selling it, and that's how they've also boxed it and packaged it, and I think that's fantastic. So let's take a look at the side. Just notice this. On the side of the box, you've got a bunch of pictures of the models painted up that are in the box. That's very cool. So you've got an Ambull, a couple of little guys, a couple little weird beasties over here. The robot, the Space Marine. Let's look at the other side. You've got over here, you've got what looks like the Eldar, probably the Rogue Trader guy, the some sort of Ecclesiarchy guy. I think that's a Navigator, and then a Kroot, and then some crazy guy with a weird flamer. This guy could definitely be all sorts of things. For Necromunda, gosh, he could be a Chaos Cultist, he could be in Cawdor, this guy could be an Outcast, any of these could be with the Outcast gang. A Navigator could be some sort of special character, bounty hunter, same with this guy, or he could be, House Grime, leader. The Kriegmeister from House Grime, he could be an Outcast leader or champion, who knows. On the other side, let's just look at these one more time. There are actually rules for this model as well in Necromunda, and I can show you those soon as well. And then there are these two Ratlings, I believe they're called, and these are fantastic. They even has a grapnel for Necromunda. That's perfect. And again, we'll go over the rules for the Ambull momentarily. So that looks like that's about it for now. This is what's in the box, and why don't we go and look at the rules for some of these models in here. Here's the Warhammer Community page from February 25th, 2019. Necromunda, Ambull vs. Ambot Deathmatch. This article was released right after the Ambot was put up for pre-order, and I've put the link in the description below if you want to pull up this article and read it yourself later. The Ambull model had already been released for Blackstone Fortress, and Games Workshop thought it would be fun to have a fight between the two in Necromunda. They didn't have Ambull rules yet anywhere in Necromunda, so Andy Hort came up with some rules for this article. He used rules from 40k at the time, and then he filled in the missing stats with rules from the Monster Hunt scenario, which they have a link to at the bottom of this article. So let's take a look at the Ambull rules for a minute. Movement 6 means it moves faster than most fighters in the game. It has a 3+ weapon skill, which is fine for a close combat model. In fact, if it had a 2+ weapon skill, it might be too good. Ballistic skill is 6+, which doesn't matter since it has no ranged weaponry. Strength and Toughness 6 means it'll wound most things on a 2+, and won't be able to be wounded by regular guns except on a 6+. Wound 7 means it's really going to take some work to put this thing down. Most weapons are damage 1 or 2 at the most, so it's probably going to need to be wounded at least 4 times by most things to actually die. Initiative 4 is pretty standard. 4 attacks is nice, it's not a crazy number of attacks. 6 plus leadership doesn't really matter. Cool of 2 plus is really good, usually unobtainable by normal gangers. Willpower of 6 is just like leadership, probably not going to matter. Intelligence 12, again, shows it's dumb, but probably won't matter in a game. And enormous claws are its weapons. They're basically just attacking with their natural weapons, which are strength 6, matching its strength characteristic. The AP minus 3 means most fighters won't get a save against it, and damage 2 means you're probably going to be rolling damage dice after this thing attacks. The infiltrate skill makes this thing really scary because it can start very close to a gang. Although it's a big model, so it could hamper this skill because it'll be harder to hide the ambull. Unstoppable allows it to regenerate flesh wounds and roll extra dice in the recovery phase, which makes this thing tougher, and then of course the 3 plus armor save makes it even tougher. The combat arena box comes with additional little beastie models called boar worms, which Andy Hoare here graciously made Necromunda rules for also. You can see them here, but I won't be talking about the rules too much, so you can look closely at them later if they interest you. The article then goes on to show a fight between ambots, yes, multiple ambots, and an ambull. It starts off 1v1. And then they decide to try it again. Since the ambull wins handily, they bring in 2 ambots. The article then goes on to say you could replace the rules for the Sump Horror and the Scenario Monster Hunt with these Ambull Rules, way down at the bottom here. It's not a bad idea, but I'd also change some of the special rules for how the ambull arrives in the scenario. Let's take a look at the scenario. The special rules for how the Sump Horror is supposed to arrive is that whenever a fighter suffers a flesh wound or is seriously injured, the fighter whose fighter was injured places a beast layer marker or similar token within d6s of that fighter. The markers follow all the rules for the beast layer. So the problem with that is you're going to be adding a lot of beast layer tokens all over the battlefield. They're going to be doing their thing and attacking characters while still having the fighters hurt each other and both gangs getting weaker faster, just to have the Sump Horror show up and wreck house. It adds a lot to the scenario that bogs it down, and I think the better idea is to just mark whenever somebody gets injured, either a flesh wound or seriously wounded, and you could even, as an arbitrator running the scenario, keep that secret, and that number that is necessary for the Sump Horror to show up, or in this case the ambull to show up, would be a secret number, and then when it does show up, that's when things really start happening. So this is a kind of a neat scenario that could be a special, downtime scenario, or end of campaign scenario, maybe, who knows. But anyway, yeah, definitely worth a look. And now let's look at the Iron Automata rules. In the Book of Judgment, you'll find the rules for the Iron Automata. On page 96 of the Book of Judgment shows that it is a 220 credit illegal 14 piece of personal equipment. On page 119, it shows the Iron Automata as a 0 to 1 choice and counts as a brute. So it's an illegal item that also counts towards your hangers-on allotment, since it is also a brute. Let's take a look and see if this thing is worth it. In the first paragraph describing the Iron Automata, it makes it clear that these are found either in the bottom of the hive or out in the Ash Wastes, which allows you to use it in any Necromunda setting when it comes to the lore. Since it's a brute, it has skill access, since it can gain experience and can advance with the rest of your gang. Combat and Brawn are probably the best skill trees it could use. I would argue Combat is better because most of the Brawn skills simply give you additional non-lethal actions like throwing or headbutting someone. And I think with a model like this that already has better stats than most other fighters, it should focus on killing enemies in a more direct route. I feel you're wasting its potential by simply throwing an enemy fighter with this guy. So looking at the stats, movement, weapon skill, and ballistic skill, they're all pretty standard. 3 wounds and strength and toughness 5 means it's pretty tough and won't be too easy to kill. Initiative 5+ could be a problem if it gets up too high on a gangway. It could more easily fall off than most other fighters. 2 attacks also keeps it from being a combat machine, but you could improve it with combat skills, as we'll see its close combat weapon is no slouch. Leadership, willpower, and intelligence are slightly less than average, but probably won't play a role in most games. It's cool as a 4+, which does matter, as we'll discuss later. It has 2 weapons, a Power Claw and an Assault Cannon. The Power Claw is strength as user, so it's strength 5 out of the gate. AP is -1, which is nice, but not too powerful. Damage 2 is really nice because that means it can probably force damage dice rolls as long as it gets through their armor. The power trait allows it to always parry, and if a 6 is rolled to hit, then no armor saves can be made and its damage increases by 1 to 3 damage. The pulverize trait means that after an injury roll is made, the attacking player can roll a d6. If it's equal to or above the target's toughness, or a natural 6, then you can change a flesh wound to a serious wound. Both power and pulverize allows the Iron Automata to sometimes punch way above its own weight. The assault cannon is a 24-inch range gun with a +1 to hit at short range, which is up to 12. Its strength of 5, AP -1 and damage 1 with a 6+ ammo check. It has a rapid fire of 2 and its ammo is scarce. This is kind of a mixed bag kind of a weapon in my opinion. It has the potential to be really devastating with up to 6 hits, but it also has 2 chances to have it run out of ammo because it rolls 2 firepower dice. With its ammo check being only a 6+ and its ammo also being scarce, it means that if it has to make an ammo check, which is more likely with this weapon because of the 2 firepower dice you roll each time it shoots, then it will probably fail the ammo check roll and then run out of ammo for the rest of the game because of the scarce trait. The special rules are a mixed bag, just like the weapons. Really glitchy means that when you activate it, every turn it has a 1 in 6 chance of gaining the insane condition, removing your ability to control it potentially. Also, if it's taken out of action, then before rolling for lasting injuries, roll a d6, and on a 1, it's lost and removed from the gang's roster. This rule makes it a real crapshoot whether this brute is going to actually do anything for you. The Man of Iron rule gives it a 3+ save, which is very helpful, Nerves of Steel, which when combined with its 4+ cool means it's not likely to get pinned much. It also comes with a Fearsome skill, which makes enemies make a willpower test to be able to charge this guy. Not too shabby. The Automated Repairs rule rounds out the Iron Automata rules. Now, this rule states that when in the recovery phase, you roll a d6, and on a 6+ it recovers a wound. It also gets to roll an additional injury dice in the recovery phase, and then you get to pick the one that you want. So in summary, is something that costs 220 credits and is very difficult to obtain because of its illegal 14 rarity, that will sometimes just do random things on the battlefield and sometimes just leave your gang after a game, really worth it? Well, it has a lot of damage potential, and if you're playing into the role of a tech heretic gang, maybe a cool idea for an outcast gang of some sort, then this guy is probably totally worth it. It definitely works for the rule of cool, but some games it just won't do anything useful. Well, I've now looked at the Ambull, which is a great unit for arbitrators to use, or as a big baddie that 2 gangs could gang up on and try and take down, and I've also looked at an interesting, if only mildly useful, brute that is fairly hard to obtain. I hope this look at the Combat Arena box set and the rules for 2 of its included models helps inform your decision on whether to get the box set, and also maybe gives you some ideas for your games of Necromunda. I had a great time looking at these rules and opening this box, and as always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.